In the quiet outskirts of Umuahia, where red earth stained sandals and the wind carried the smell of roasted corn and rain-soaked leaves, lived a man named Chukwudi Okorie. Chukwudi was not a man of big grammar or loud presence. He was in his late 40s, broad-shouldered, with hands hardened by years of honest labor. His education stopped at SSCE, not because he lacked intelligence, but because life had demanded his strength more than his certificates. He had grown up poor, very poor. His father died early, and his mother sold vegetables until her back bent like a question mark. From a young age, Chukwudi learned that survival did not wait for dreams. Yet, one thing remained sacred to him: education. "If I did not go far," he often said, "someone else must." That belief shaped his life. By 40, Chukwudi owned a modest but successful building materials business. He was respected. Not envied, not flashy, but respected. Men greeted him with nods. Elders trusted his word. He never married. People whispered. Some said he was too proud. Some said he was cursed. Some said he had a woman somewhere. The truth was simpler and sadder. The woman he once loved married another man when Chukwudi couldn't afford her bride price. Since then, his heart had remained open, but quiet. Ifunanya Nwoye came into Chukwudi's life like Harmattan breeze, soft, unexpected, and quietly disruptive. She was beautiful, not in an artificial way, but in the effortless manner that made heads turn without invitation. Tall, slim, with warm brown skin and eyes that held ambition like fireflies at dusk. She was the first daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Nwoye, a civil servant and a petty trader respectively. Her father, Pa Nwoye, believed strongly in discipline, tradition, and caution. Her mother, Mama Nwoye, believed in progress, especially when it favored her children. Ifunanya was brilliant. When she gained admission into a federal university to study medical laboratory science, celebration filled their compound. But joy quickly met reality. School fees, accommodation, books, feeding. Panwoye's salary could barely stretch. That was when Chukwudi stepped in. Chukwudi had known the Nwoye family casually. They were from neighboring villages. When he heard about Ifunanya's admission, something stirred in him. "She reminds me of the dreams I couldn't chase," he told himself. One evening, he visited. "I want to help," he said simply. Panwoye hesitated. Pride wrestled with desperation, but Chukwudi was calm. "I will pay her fees. I will support her schooling. No conditions." Mama Nwoye's eyes shone. Panwoye studied Chukwudi carefully. "Why?" Chukwudi smiled. "Because someone once helped me. I want to help another." And so it began. For 4 years, Chukwudi became the invisible backbone of Ifunanya's education. He paid fees on time, sent money monthly, bought textbooks, repaired her laptop, covered medical bills. He never demanded anything. Ifunanya called him Uncle Chukwudi at first, then Daddy Chukwudi. He attended her matriculation, visited occasionally, encouraged her studies. Slowly, affection grew, not lust, not obsession, but deep emotional attachment. Chukwudi watched her mature intellectually, emotionally, socially. He admired her brilliance, her confidence, her hunger for more. In his quiet heart, hope began to bloom. Final year came with pressure, late nights, lab work, stress. Then Ifunanya fell ill. At first it was fatigue, then swelling, then pain. Diagnosis came like thunder: chronic kidney failure. The world froze. Panwoye broke down. Mama Nwoye wept openly. Treatment was expensive. Dialysis was draining. A transplant became inevitable. Doctors said, "She needs a kidney donor, fast." Family members tested. None matched. Time slipped. Then Chukwudi stepped forward. "I will test." Everyone protested. "You are not family. You are too old." What if something happens to you? He insisted. Tests confirmed it. Perfect match. On the hospital bed, Chukwudi held Ifunanya's hand. You will live, he whispered. That is enough. She cried uncontrollably. You are too good to me. He smiled weakly. Goodness is meant to be given. The surgery was successful. 1 kidney each, 2 lives bound forever. Or so Chukwudi thought. After recovery, something changed. Ifunanya returned to school. But she was different. She spoke differently, dressed differently, moved differently. University exposure had reshaped her identity. She now saw the world in hierarchies: educated versus uneducated, class versus class, status versus status. Chukwudi felt it but ignored it. Love, he believed, would bridge the gap. After her graduation, Chukwudi visited. He wore his best traditional attire, carried palm wine, brought elders. He proposed marriage. Silence filled the room. Ifunanya's face hardened. Later, privately, she spoke. I respect you, but I can't marry you. Chukwudi froze. Why? She hesitated, then said it. You're not educated enough for me. The words pierced deeper than surgery. I need a man who can match my level, my exposure, my future. He asked softly, After everything? She looked away. Panwoye was furious. You are mad. This man gave you life twice. Mamanwoye disagreed. Marriage is forever. She must marry where she is happy. She supported her daughter. Ifunanya must not suffer intellectually, she said. Chukwudi left quietly, broken, humiliated, empty. Months later, Ifunanya married Dr. Benedict Eze, a highly educated, wealthy man in his late 60s, Ph.D., professor. International exposure. Her mother celebrated. Her father mourned silently. The wedding was grand, but cold. Chukwudi's health declined. 1 kidney, stress, depression. He withdrew from life. Years later, news came. Chukwudi Okorie had died quietly. No wife, no children, only memories. At his burial, Ifunanya stood silently, tears streaming. Too late. In her husband's mansion, surrounded by books and degrees, Ifunanya often felt empty. Education gave her status, but sacrifice gave her soul, and she had rejected it. Some debts are not repaid with marriage, some sacrifices outlive love, and some regrets. Never sleep. At first, Ifunanya's life looked perfect. She became Mrs. Benedict Eze, wife to a celebrated professor, a man whose name opened doors before he even spoke. Their wedding trended within academic circles and church groups. Guests whispered words like lucky girl and wisdom. Her mother basked in pride. You chose well, Mama Nwoye told her repeatedly. Education answers everything. Only her father remained quiet. Panwoye attended the wedding, but his smile never reached his eyes. When Ifunanya knelt for blessings, his hands trembled. May you never reap what you do not sow, he said. She didn't understand the weight of that prayer. The house was big, too big. Books filled every shelf, yet warmth was scarce. Dr. Benedict Eze was brilliant, articulate, respected, but emotionally distant. He treated Ifunanya like a trophy, not a partner. Their conversations were lectures. Their silences were colder than arguments. He corrected her grammar publicly, compared her to women with PhDs, reminded her, often, that he chose her. You should be grateful, he once said casually. Men my age don't marry beauty, they marry convenience. Something inside her shifted that night. Marriage exposed the truth she ignored. Education does not equal kindness. Status does not equal love. Ifunanya missed simplicity. She missed encouragement. She missed someone who believed in her growth, not competed with it. She missed Chukwudi, though she never said his name aloud. At night, she would touch her side unconsciously, where the scar lay hidden beneath silk and lace. a kidney borrowed from a man she discarded. Mama Nwoye began to notice changes. Her daughter stopped visiting, stopped laughing, stopped calling. One evening, she confronted her. "Are you happy?" Ifunanya forced a smile. "I'm fine." But mothers hear what words hide. Weeks later, Mama Nwoye fell ill. Stress, the doctor said. As she lay weak, she whispered to her husband, "We made a mistake." Pa Nwoye nodded slowly. "Karma does not rush," he replied. "It walks." 5 years into the marriage, fate struck again. Ifunanya collapsed at a conference. Tests revealed the unthinkable. Her remaining kidney was failing. Doctors were careful with their words, but the message was clear. "You will need a transplant. Again." Dr. Benedict Eze reacted not with panic, but calculation. "My age disqualifies me," he said quickly. "My children will not volunteer. My career cannot accommodate stress." He never said I'm sorry. Gradually, he withdrew. Bills delayed. Hospital visits shortened. Affection vanished completely. One night, he spoke plainly. "I did not sign up to become a caregiver." 2 weeks later, he moved to Abuja for work. He never returned. The educated man with all the degrees disappeared when sacrifice was required. Weak and humbled, Afunanya asked to be taken somewhere. Chukwudi's grave. Rain fell softly as she knelt. "I was blind," she whispered, tears soaking the earth. "I thought education was everything. You gave me life, and I threw it away." The grave remained silent, but karma had heard. No donor came forward. Her mother cried herself sick. Her father prayed endlessly. Ifunanya survived, but not whole. Dialysis became her companion. Pain became routine. Pride dissolved completely. She lost her marriage, lost her health, lost her illusion, but she gained something bitter and permanent: understanding. Years later, Ifunanya began speaking to young girls. She told her story, not as a warning against education, but against arrogance. "Never mock the ladder that lifted you," she said. "Never measure love by certificates. Some sacrifices cannot be repaid, but they must be honored." Chukwudi died poor in recognition, but rich in meaning. Ifunanya lived educated, but schooled by life, because karma does not always kill. Sometimes, it educates brutally. By the time Ifunanya turned 40, her life had shrunk to a narrow routine. Hospital, home, hospital again. The woman who once walked confidently across university campuses now moved slowly, tethered to machines and schedules. Dialysis dictated her days. Pain dictated her nights. Visitors became fewer. Friends faded quietly. Former colleagues avoided her, not out of cruelty, but discomfort. Suffering makes people uneasy. Her beauty dimmed, not because she aged, but because hope had left her eyes. Dr. Benedict Eze never visited. Not once. When contacted, his response was cold and final. "Our marriage has ended. I cannot be tied to sickness." The educated man, celebrated for his intellect, erased her existence with one sentence. Divorce papers followed. No apology, no explanation, no closure. Education had given him language, but not humanity. Mama Nwoye never forgave herself. She replayed the past endlessly, the day she defended her daughter's rejection, the words she spoke against Chukwudi, the pride she mistook for wisdom. Her health deteriorated rapidly. One night, holding Ifunanya's hand, she confessed, "I chose ambition over gratitude. I was wrong." She died 2 weeks later. Ifunanya did not cry loudly. Grief had exhausted her. Pa Nwoye aged 10 years in two. He cared for his daughter with devotion, but rarely spoke. One evening, Ifunanya asked him, "Papa, do you hate me?" He shook his head slowly. "No, but I mourn the daughter you could have been." That hurt more than anger. Desperate, Ifunanya went public. Her stories spread online. People sympathized. Prayers poured in. But sympathy does not create kidneys. Potential donors tested. None matched. Doctors became honest. We are running out of options. She nodded calmly. For the first time in years, fear left her. One afternoon, weak and breathless, Ifunanya asked to be taken to Chukwudi's village again. She sat before his grave. "I don't ask for forgiveness anymore," she whispered. "I just want you to know. I finally understood you." Wind rustled the trees. Nothing answered. Some apologies arrive when the receiver is already gone. Ifunanya was admitted on a rainy evening. Machines beeped softly. Her breathing was shallow. Panwoy sat beside her. "Papa," she said faintly, "tell people my story." He squeezed her hand. "So they won't repeat it." She smiled weakly. And then, she was gone. No dramatic last words, no miracle interruption, just silence. They buried her beside her mother. At the graveside, Panwoy stood alone. 2 graves, 2 regrets. 1 truth. Chukwudi had given life. Ifunanya had rejected its source, and life reclaimed its debt without mercy. The village remembered Chukwudi as a good man. They remembered Ifunanya as a warning, not against education, not against ambition, but against pride that forgets sacrifice. Because life does not punish immediately, it waits. Some tragedies don't come from wickedness. They come from forgetting where your blessings came from, and some debts can only be paid with regret.